Hello friends, thank you so much for joining me here on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how I create this little wrap tank top situation. I'll insert a video here of me wearing it. I absolutely love this design. I just designed it a few weeks ago. I made it up as I went, so this is my second time creating it with all of you, and I made a white version for this tutorial. And I'm super pleased with how it turned out. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I always try to make sure that I respond to each and every comment. If you have a very pressing question and I'm not responding over YouTube, you can always message me on Instagram. I do respond to DMs daily. That's always the most effective way to get a hold of me. I will put my Instagram handle here. I ended up using about 150 grams of 24/7 cotton by Line brand yarn. I will show you this in the tutorial as well, but I just wanted to let you know that. All right, now let's actually get into it. For this project, I'm going to be using 24/7 cotton by Line brand yarns. I highly recommend this. If you do not have access to this brand of yarn, then any medium weight 4 yarn would work great. I prefer to use cotton for summer tops just to make them more breathable. This yarn recommends a 4mm hook. However, I'm going to size down to a 3.75mm hook to make this top really tight so that way it's not see-through at all. We will start this project by working up one of the front panels. So you can see on this top that one of the front panels lays over the other front panel to give it that wrap top look. But let me hold it up to my body so you can get kind of the gist of what it's going to end up looking like. I'm going to show you where we want this foundation chain to lie. So here you can see that I have a seam on my shirt. This is where we're going to start the chain. So this is halfway on my side. And then the chain is going to go halfway across my other breast. Just like this. So I'm going to go ahead and work up this chain and let you know how many chains I make. For this portion of the project, we will be working with linked half double crochets, and that really does cause some shrinkage. I'm actually redoing this video because I didn't chain enough because I didn't consider the shrinkage. So chain a little bit more than you think that you need to. If it ends up being a little bit big, it's really not a big concern. You'll just alter the rest of the top accordingly. I chained 60 for my initial chain, and so I'm going to remember that for the second side, the second front panel. Let's get into row 1. I'm going to yarn over, skip this first chain into the second chain. I'm going to place a half double crochet. Now for the rest of the row, I'm going to be working with linked half double crochets. To do that, I'm going to pick up, you see how there are 3 loops, 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to pick up the last loop, and that acts as my yarn over. The reason that we do the linked half double crochets is to make this so it's really not see-through at all. It's full coverage and you don't have to wear anything underneath this top. I will meet you back here for row 2. It's time for row 2. I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work, and into this very first stitch here I'm going to place 1 half double crochet, and now I'm going to work with linked half double crochets down the rest of the row, 1 linked half double crochet in each stitch. And again, you go into 1, 2, 3, this third loop here, and that acts as your yarn over. Insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3, all the way down the row. On row 3 is where we start decreasing. You can see here that these are all decreases, and that's how we get that slanted look there. On the other side, it's straight. There are no decreases for a considerable amount of rows, and then once it gets up towards the armpit area, we start decreasing again on this side. So eventually we'll be decreasing on both sides, but for right now we will be decreasing on only one side. If you would find it helpful, you can place a stitch marker on the side that you'll start decreasing on. This will be the side that you start row 3. So let's do this decrease together. Chain 1 like normal to start the row and turn your work. The previous rows we went into this first stitch. However, to decrease, we're going to skip this first stitch. So yarn over, skip the first stitch, and into the second, place 1 half double crochet. Now working with linked half double crochets, place 1 in each stitch until you get to the end of the row. Row 4, we're on the side that gets no decreases. So chain 1, turn the work, and into the very first stitch, place 1 half double crochet. In every other stitch, place 1 linked half double crochet. When you get to the last 2 stitches of the row, come back to this video because I will show you how we will be decreasing on those last 2 stitches. Closing out row 4 with the decrease, you can see I have 2 stitches left here, 1 and 2. So I'm going to insert my hook and pick up that loop. Skip the second to last stitch here and go directly into the last stitch. So skipping the second to last, crocheting into the last to get that decrease. Start of row 5, chain 1, turn the work, skip the first stitch into the second, 1 half double crochet. In every stitch for the rest of the row, place 1 linked half double crochet. This is how my project is looking so far. You can start to see this little slant that is happening from our decreases. So for row 6, I'm going to chain 1, turn my work into this very first stitch, work in 1 linked half double crochet in each stitch until I get to the last 2, and then I'll be decreasing, skipping the second to last stitch, and crocheting directly into the last one. Again, in this last stitch for row 7, we will be decreasing, or row 6. I don't know, I'm sorry. So we will be decreasing at the end of this row, skipping this second to last stitch, crocheting directly into the last stitch. Chain 1, turn the work, skipping this first stitch into the second, 1 half double crochet, 1 linked half double crochet for the rest of the row. So you will continue no decreases on this side and decreasing at the end and at the beginning of each row on this side. And you will do this until you reach your armpit area. You can see how, here, let me lay this on top just to give you the visual. You can see here how I continue to go up straight until I get to this section, which lays right under my armpit. I will go ahead and show you this on my body as well, and we will do these decreases together, so don't worry. But you can see that I continue going up straight until I reach that armpit area, and then I start decreasing on this side to really form the cup shape of this front panel. So you can kind of get an idea of where this is going to lay. You can see that up until here, I had no decreases on this side. So the best way to figure out how many rows to do is just to continue holding it up to your body. And you want the bottom of this to cover your breast with maybe an inch or half an inch underneath. And over here. So yes, keep trying it on as you are making rows, and come back when you get to a good stopping point and you're ready to start decreasing on this side as well. This is how my front panel is looking so far, and at this point I'm going to start decreasing on this side over here. I just finished row 15, so join me on row 16 or whatever row you're at to start decreasing on this side here. This is what the project looks like laying flat so far. So at this point, we will be decreasing at the start and at the end of every single row. We'll be decreasing on both sides. For me, this is row 16. Chain 1, turn the work. Skipping this first stitch, crocheting into the second, 1 half double crochet. One linked half double crochet in every stitch until the end of the row. The last 2 stitches, skip the second to last stitch, and into the last one, work your last linked half double crochet. Just like I have been with every single row on this side of the project, I'm going to be decreasing at the end of this row, skipping the second to last and into the last, placing 1 linked half double crochet. Chain 1, turn my work, skipping the first into the second, half double crochet. one linked half double crochet until I get to the end of the row, and I'm going to be decreasing at the end of this row. At the end of this row, row 17, on the side that I have not been decreasing on, I'm going to be decreasing. So insert my hook, skipping the second to last into the last, one half double crochet. And you're just gonna keep repeating this, decreasing at the beginning and the ends of every single row until you get to only one stitch. I'm going to do these rows off camera and then I'll come back for the last couple of rows. Here is how my panel is looking after 35 rows, and I'm going to show you how to close off this panel. So I'm just going to keep going and decreasing on both sides at the start and the end of each row. For me, this is row 36, and here's my decrease. So closing off your row might look different based on if you started with an odd or an even number. But just continue the pattern of skipping the first stitch, working into the second. And then here I have 2 stitches left, so I'm going to skip the second to the last and go into the last. Chain 1 and turn my work, and I'm going to skip the first stitch, going to work into the second stitch, and that is the end. So that was a total of 37 rows. To close off this panel, I'm going to chain 1, cut my work, and secure it with a knot. I am back with my 2 front panels complete. I'm going to grab my measuring tape just to give you all some more context on how large my panels are. So this is about 11. If I stretch it, it's about 12. 9.5. It is 11. And then for this, where we did no decreases, that is about 4. Now we can start to kind of see the shape of the top come to life if I place one over the other like this. So you want to make sure that it is the bottom here, the widest part, and place it over. Depending on how wide you would like this V-neck, if you want the V-neck to be wider and deeper, then you can cross them over less. But if you would like it to be a little bit more coverage there, crossing it over more. I would recommend holding it up to your body. I am happy with how this looks and with how much I have overlapped. So I'm going to take a stitch marker, and not on this top one, but on the bottom one where it's laying, I'm going to put my stitch marker there. So this shows how many stitches to count out to make sure that it is even on both sides. So I'm going to count from where this stitch marker is to the end. I'm going to be counting how many stitches this is. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So this is a little more than halfway, 32 stitches. Remember, I started with 60 chains, and so I should have 59 half double crochets in this row, just to give you a little bit of perspective of how I am sizing this. I'm gonna go ahead and count 32 stitches on this side and place another stitch marker. Because I started counting from the stitch marker here, I counted 32 open stitches here, meaning that this is on the 33rd stitch. So I made sure to put my stitch marker on the second side at the 33rd stitch and not the 32nd. So make sure that you take that into consideration. Now it is really easy to see exactly where these cups should line up. So now I'm going to hold on to this stitch with my thumb here, turn my stitch marker around, and I'm going to stitch mark the first stitch of the second panel, just to keep that in place. And I'm gonna go ahead and do that on the second side. Grab this corner stitch, go into that 33rd stitch. I put in a few more stitch markers just to show you all, because it's a little bit hard. But this is what the top is looking like so far. Still have a lot more to add on, so don't worry if you're like, how the heck is this gonna fit me? It's not supposed to fit you like this. Once you have all of this sorted out and you have placed your stitch markers, you're now going to place one single crochet in each stitch going all the way across. And when you get to this section where the two panels overlap, you'll be putting your hook through both panels and completing your single crochets that way. But I will do that with you. Just a quick rundown of what we're going to be doing. I'm going to insert my hook into this furthest corner here. Place a slip knot on my hook, yarn over or pull through, chain one, and I'm just weaving in my ends as I go here, just make it easier on myself later. You can see that I am now all the way over to my stitch marker. Let me zoom you out just so you can make sure your project looks the same so far. So I'm going to remove my stitch marker, and now I'm going to be working into both of the panels. Placing in my last stitches. This is how it's looking so far, and now all I'm going to do is one single crochet in each stitch for the rest of this panel. Now that the two panels are connected here at the base, we are going to be working on building up the side here. So we are going to be turning our work to work here, and we're going to place one half double crochet in every single available stitch until we get to the point where we start decreasing. So I'm just going to put a stitch marker just to make it easier to represent where I'm going to be crocheting. So just this section here. To do this, I'm going to chain one, and instead of turning my work like this, I'm just going to work this way now. Yarn over. I'm going to insert my hook into this first stitch here. It's also the stitch where you place your last single crochet. One half double crochet. I don't work with linked half double crochets for this part because I don't find that the coverage is necessary. I don't mind if there are some more gaps on this part. So again, one half double crochet in every available space. You also want to make sure that the number of half double crochets you place in this section is divisible by 3. That is important for the final row, so make sure that that final count is divisible by 3. I've made it back to my stitch marker, so now I'm going to chain one, turn my work, and now we're on row 2 of the side. Yarn over, insert my hook in this very first stitch, we're not skipping, and half double crochet all the way down. And that is row 2. And I'm just going to continue doing one half double crochet in every stitch for as many rows until it fits me properly. So this is going to be the part of the top that wraps around your back. And here, let me show you. Right now, with these rows of half double crochets, you're constructing this portion of the back panel. Continue doing rows. I would recommend trying it on again, holding it up to your body just to see how many rows you want to do for this portion. And the last row, we are going to work with the mesh stitch. We're going to work. See, we will be adding this, so keep that in mind. And you also want to keep in mind that you probably want a 2 or 3 inch opening in the back. So keep that in mind as you are sizing this portion of the project, that you are going to want an opening in the back to be able to lace this up. I'm happy with the length of this back panel so far, and it is 4.5 inches. Let's do the last row of this panel together. Instead of chaining 1, we're going to chain 5. Turn the work. And you're going to skip the first 2 stitches, and into the 3rd stitch, place a double crochet. Now chain 2, skip 2 stitches into the third, place a double crochet, chain 2, skip 2 stitches into the third, double crochet, chain 2, skip 2 into the third, double crochet. You just keep doing this. This is why it's important to have a multiple of 3 for your half double crochets here. And here's my last one, chain 2, and now this back panel is done, so I'm going to chain 1, cut my work, and secure with a knot. To repeat the same exact thing on this other side here. 18 half double crochets here up until the point where I started decreasing. I'm going to start this second side with all of you. I'm going to insert my hook in this very last stitch here on the bottom row and place a slip knot on my hook. Pull through, chain up 1 to work my first half double crochet in the very next available space. And then I'm just going to repeat exactly what I did on the other side. I just finished the second back panel, and this time at the end of my last row, I'm not going to be cutting my work. Instead, I'm going to chain 1. And now we are going to change directions and work all along the bottom row of the top. So let me zoom you out here. So now we are going to be working all along here, placing 1 half double crochet in each space. So working into this first mesh stitch, you can see that there are 1, 2 places to work in a half double crochet. So here's my first, here's my second, now every available stitch here, I'm going to be placing a half double crochet. I'm now at the point where I'm going to be working into the front panels, and I'll go all the way across to the end over here, and I'll meet you back for these last stitches into the mesh stitch. I'm reaching the end of this row, so let's work into this last mesh stitch together. We place 2 half double crochets in the last mesh, in the first mesh stitch. That is such a such a mouthful to say. Mesh stitch. Okay, so I'm gonna work in 2, working my last one into this very last stitch here. Awesome. Just like that. The following 3 rows are going to be mesh stitches. So to start off the row, chain 5. Turn the work. Skip 2 stitches into the third, one double crochet. Chain 2. Skip 2 stitches into the third, 1 double crochet. Chain 2, skip 2 stitches into the third, 1 double crochet. So this is how it is looking now. And you're just going to do this all the way down the line along the bottom of the shirt. Now you might not have a multiple of 3 for this bottom row. If that's the case, do not worry. I'll show you some different options at the end of this row. It's really not that noticeable if you only skip 1 stitch or if you have to skip 3. I'm finishing up this first mesh row, and this actually worked out for me because I have 6 stitches left. So I ended up with a multiple of 3, but again, if you don't end up with a multiple of 3, I wouldn't stress. It's not a big deal if you skip 1 stitch and go into the last stitch. That would be fine. If you have 3 stitches and the last stitch is on the 4th, it would be fine to just work into that 4th. It would be fine to work into that last stitch and skip the 3 stitches. Here's my last stitch. And this is how the project is looking now. I'm going to chain up 5 into this stitch where the double crochet is. You see, here's the double crochet. This stitch right above, that's what we're going to be working into. So working 1 double crochet in there, chain 2 in the next double crochet space. So you want your double crochets to be on top of your double crochets and your chain 2 spaces to be on top of the chain 2 spaces. And this is how it is looking. I'll meet you back at the end of the row to show you how to close out this row. I'm at the end of row 3 of this waistline portion of the top. I have 2 more mesh stitches to create. Chain 2, double crochet. And now you can see that this stitch here is created out of the chain 5. So we're gonna count 1, 2, and into the 3rd chain, place our double crochet. So chain up 2 like normal. Again, in the chain 5 stitch, we're counting 1, 2, 3, into this 3rd chain, double crochet. You're going to repeat this row 1 more time. So chain 5, turn the work. In this first double crochet stitch, 1 double crochet, chain 2, So this is how it is looking now. Starting on row 5 of this waistline portion of the top, because we have our half double crochet row, 3 double crochet mesh rows, and now this is our final row. Chain 1 and turn your work. I'm going to be skipping this very first stitch, and into the next stitch I'm going to work a single crochet. So that single crochet is worked into the first of the chain 2 that make up this chain 2 space here. I'm going to skip the next stitch and into the stitch that's on top of the double crochet, I'm going to work in a single crochet. Now chain 3 and into the first chain, the chain furthest from your hook, you're going to slip stitch, and this is called a picket stitch. And now you're going to single crochet again. Into that same space that was on top of the double crochet. Skipping the first chain here, we're going to skip that into the second chain, work a single crochet. And now into the space that is on top of the double crochet, we're going to single crochet, chain 3, and picket. Single crochet again, skipping the first chain into the second chain, 1 single crochet, single crochet, chain 3, picket. Sorry if you can hear someone is mowing their lawn out there. I hope that it's not too loud. So this is what it's looking like so far. Again, skipping this first chain into the second chain, 1 single crochet. In the next space on top of the double crochet, single crochet, chain 3, picket, single crochet again, skipping 1 stitch into the next, single crochet. So you guys get the pattern by now. You're going to do this all along the whole bottom border of this top. I'll meet you back here and we'll do the last couple together just to show you how to close out this row. I'm nearing the end of my row, so I'm going to do it with you all. Single crochet, single crochet, now the chain 3 picket, single crochet again. And now you might need to kind of give this a little pull so you can see all 5 of these chains. So we're going to skip the first one, work into the second one, a single crochet, and work into the third chain, a single crochet. And that is the end of the row. Chain 1, cut the work, and secure with a knot. At this point, I like to go ahead and sew this together, so I will show you how I do that. And the reason that I like to do this is just to add some more security to the top. I like the way that the top is structured more, and I like how it lays on my body better. And it makes the border for this upper portion of the top possible. You could probably do it without sewing it up, however, that's not how I do it. So I would recommend to do that in order to follow along with the rest of the pattern. If you don't want to do that, maybe you don't want to add the upper border here, then you could totally leave that open and just go ahead and make the straps and follow along with the tutorial, but you can see here that I have added this mesh part and I added the picket stitches as well, and I really like that look a lot. I think it pulls the whole top together. So I'm going to show you how we do that. I just got out my tapestry needle and I threaded it with the same color yarn that I've been using for this whole project. And now I'm going to determine the front versus the back. There isn't a distinct front or back on this because we have been turning our work, so you really can choose whichever you would like. I'm going to choose the side that I have more ends to weave in on. So I think I'm going to choose this side to be my back. And I'm going to take this out just to make sure that it lays really nicely. So I would recommend just going over your project and making sure that it is laying flat and there are no wrinkles or anything like that. You also can count up and make sure that you have the same amount on both sides. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to count up how many rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So that's on the 18th row. And on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16, 17, 18 would be here. For sewing it together, I'm going to insert my hook. This is where my stitch markers were, so I'm going to insert my hook and pull through. I'm going to leave about 4 inches of a tail, and this is where I'm going to tie it to create a knot and to secure this yarn onto the project. I'm going to insert my hook here. And then from back to front, I'm going to insert my hook now. Coming from the other side, flip over my project. Perfect. It looped into this front panel, so that is wonderful. And I'm just going to continue repeating this all the way down. And try your best to make it as straight of a line as possible, just to have a really nice clean seam here. This part is going to be the front, the part that I'm securing down. For me, if you happen to like this side better, where it is not secured down and there's an opening, then you can secure your knot on the other side. But I'm gonna secure my knot on this side. Once you weave in the ends for your knot, it also won't be super noticeable, so you can always change your mind with which way you would like the front versus the back to be. So I'm gonna insert my hook just to get it on the side that I want it on. And how I like to secure a knot for these types of projects is I will just pick up a loop. So you can see here, I'm picking up this loop. I'm gonna pull through not all the way until I get a little circle like this, a little loop, and I'm going to weave my yarn through in the same direction 2 times. And I'm going to pull tight. And that just creates a little knot. I'm gonna go ahead and weave in these ends and just show you how this knot really will blend in. See? And there you go. So I'm gonna just go ahead and weave these in so you don't have to later. It is time for the final steps of this top, and that is creating a border around all of this. So let's get into it. I'm going to be attaching my yarn in this chain 5 space that was created here. So I'm going to count out 3 chains and insert my hook in the 3rd chain. So 1, 2, 3. So either way that you count it, if you're counting it from down here or up here, it should be the 3rd chain. I'm going to place a slip knot on my hook and pull through. And I'm going to chain up 5. Now this part can be a little bit tricky because it can be a little bit hard to see exactly where the spaces are. However, just do your best, lay your project out as you go, make sure that nothing is getting cinched or pulled or ruffling or anything like that. So this first stitch that we're gonna do is a double crochet. Go into this loop here where this chain is attached to, we're going to work a double crochet. Chain 2, and then skip 2 stitches into the 3rd, place a double crochet. So I'm going to skip this, I'm going to skip this space, and into this space I'm going to place a double crochet. Chain 2, skip 2 spaces, skip, skip, double crochet. Chain 2, skip, skip, double crochet. Chain 2, skip, skip, double crochet. I'm now at the point where it starts going into the front panel, and I do the exact same thing. Chain 2, skip 2 stitches into the 3rd, a double crochet. And this is how it's looking so far. So if your project is kind of roughly like this, that indicates that maybe you aren't skipping enough spaces in between your double crochets. If your project is really stretched out and misshapen, that probably means you are skipping too many. I'm going to show you how to handle these corners or points. So I just placed a double crochet right here. I'm going to chain up 2, and I'm going to place, regardless of the counting, I'm going to place my double crochet in this point right here in this stitch. This is the last row that only has 1 half double crochet. So I'm going to insert my hook and double crochet, and then chain 2, and I'm going to turn my direction to work down the cup. And I'm going to put a double crochet right here. And the reason that I'm going to work one in right there, or actually right here where my thumb is, because that is exactly adjacent or opposite to this double crochet here. So you want to work in the opposite space. So this is how the corner is looking now. And now I'm just going to go down. I'm nearing this intersection of the 2 panels, so I thought that we would do that together. I just placed my last double crochet on this panel, and now I'm going to chain 2 and work in a double crochet in the same space as this panel, but just on this side. So here I have 2 spaces before it joins with the other panel, so I'm going to count 1, 2, and into the 3rd. Now I'm going to do the same stitch going all the way up. I'm going to handle the corner the same way, but we will do it together. I'm ready to do my second corner, so I just put in my last double crochet on this side, chain 2, and I'm going to go directly into this 1 half double crochet that was in the last row of this panel. Chain 2, and turn the work to be working down this side of the top. And I'm going to work in the stitch that is directly across from this stitch where there's this double crochet. I'm just going to work all the way down this side and across this back panel. I'm going to show you how to close off this row of the border. So remember on this side how we put our first double crochet in this stitch where the chain was attached to. So we're going to do the same thing, chain 2, and put your double crochet right here. and then chain 2, and you're going to put your final double crochet in the 3rd chain. So 1, 2, 3, and this is counting on the original chain 5 of this mesh stitch on the side. So 1, 2, 3, double crochet, chain 1 and cut the work, secure with the knot. The last thing to do is we're going to add these straps here. For these, I chain 200. So I'll show you where to secure the yarn, but just to give you a rundown, we're going to secure the yarn, chain up 200, slip stitch down the chain and back into the same spot that the chain is attached to. And then we're going to go through with our picket stitch that we did earlier for the bottom of the top, all the way back up here, and we're going to do the same thing of chaining 200, slip stitching back down, and securing onto the same stitch that the chain is attached to, and that will be the completed top. I'm going to insert my hook where there's this double crochet at the point here. Remember, we did a double crochet and then one on either side. So this is where I'm going to insert my hook. This is where my chain will be attached to. Place the slip knot on my hook, tighten down, and I'm going to pull through. And this is where I'm going to chain 200, and then I'm going to slip stitch down my chain. I'm working in my last few slip stitches. So this is my last one on the chain, and then I'm going to slip stitch into this spot where the chain is attached to. Just like that. And at this point, you want to double check and make sure that you are working on the inside of the top. So this is the inside versus the outside of the top. Now that I have slip stitched it back into that same spot, I'm going to chain 1, skip the first stitch, and into the second, a single crochet. Now into this space that is above the double crochet stitch, we are going to do the single crochet, chain 3, picket, single crochet, skipping the first stitch into the next stitch, single crochet into the stitch that is above the double crochet from before, chain up 3, picket stitch. So this is exactly the same as what you did along the border of the bottom of the top. You're doing the same exact thing along this inside portion of the top. Going to do this all along this inner border here until you get to this point here, which is the double crochet. And there we will be forming a second chain of 200 or whatever number you decided on. and slip stitching back and then joining back here in this stitch. This is how it's looking so far. Super cute. Let me show you how to secure this, how to close off this portion of the top and get started on your chain. So I just did my last picket stitch and my last single crochet in that stitch, and then I'm going to skip a stitch, go into the second chain of the chain 2 space, so skip 1 stitch, go into the next, and then I'm going to go into the stitch that is directly above this double crochet, because remember this double crochet is our point, just like that. And now I'm going to chain up 200, the same amount that I chained on the other side, and I'm going to slip stitch all the way down the chain and slip stitch back into this stitch right here where the chain is attached to. I just finished my chain, the second chain, and so now I'm just going to, I've chained 1, I'm going to cut my work and secure with a knot. This is how the top is looking now. So it's time to flip it over. I'm going to take the tie that is on the right side, and from back to front, I'm going to go into this top stitch here on the left side and pull it through, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And pull it through, and then I'm going to skip 2 and into the third, and the same thing coming from the left, 1, 2, 3, back to front, 1, 2, 3, back to front, 1, 2, 3, back to front, and then I'm going to go into this last one here. And that completes this tutorial. This is how the top looks in the back, laying flat, and this is how it looks from the front. Now time to go ahead and weave in all of these ends that are on your project, and I have to weave in these on my project. Thank you so much everybody for joining me for this tutorial. I hope that you love your tops. If you have questions, again, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you would like to share your recreations of this top on my Instagram, I will put that handle right here. I love seeing all of your recreations and your takes on these tutorials. You all do the most beautiful work, and I always make sure to repost all of you on my Instagram too and give you a little shout out for your crochet work. And thank you so much for joining me here on this tutorial, and make sure that you subscribe so you see when I post next. Let me know in the comments if there's anything specifically that you would like to see as the next tutorial video. Thank you so much. Bye for now.